Are you gonna forward that to me in my email or on WhatsApp?
Yeah, we'll forward it on email, your email.
Okay.
Or maybe I can share on your,
Gmail?
anywhere I can share
Okay.
with you, wherever you
Okay, no
want.
problem. Gmail's good.
Sure. So what we are covering today, what we are going to cover today's session, how do we call the third-party APIs? So the concept, you understand what exactly it is third-party API and other things.
Are you sharing your screen or?
No, I'm just asking first questions.
Oh, no, I do not really know what do you mean by when you say like third party
Do you
APIs.
know about it, Jyotsna?
I think there's only 3 people in here.
Yeah, Jyotsna also is there in the group. So
Oh.
Hey, hi, Alok. Yeah.
yeah, so I was asking, like, do you know like what is the third-party API called?
So we are using that Postman, no?
Mm-hmm. So do you understand what exactly the third-party API called? Most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yes, Alok. Yep.
So what is exactly? Do you know? Can you explain me what is third-party API called?
I'm not sure correctly. I'm not getting. Postman, we can check the URL in the Postman whether the API is working or not.
But what is the purpose of third-party API called?
Like is it like getting information to use in your code in a way?
Yeah, you're
Like
close.
getting
So it
information
means
through like you know how you go in Postman, like getting their URL to use it in your code kind of way.
Okay, let me share my screen and I'll show you something. Okay. You guys can see my screen now.
yes, Alok.
Okay. So if you see here, I have one API. You see, this is the URL of the API, which is responsible to get the all information. The data is saved for Zoom invites. Okay. So this API is just nothing but if you hit this API, it will provide you the data for this. You see here the list of invites, meeting IDs, ID name, platform, then status, all those information you can see here, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So in same way, this API, like it's built it on different system, but we are calling from Postman, right? So sometime you see some news channel or anything where you will see the details about the weather information. What is the temperature? What is the how it will be like looks like in future or like today, the climate, all those information you can find in the weather. And same thing if you see share market news also comes and you see the share market results change very frequently, right? Sometimes you in your working time you will see here on also in Microsoft some kind of shared news comes pop up in here, right?
Yes. Yes, Alok.
So how it is coming, how it comes, because that information is built on different system, but other people can also see those information by calling their API like this. So now I have this temperature news, correct? So I can see here these news feeds are coming. This temperature is also coming, correct?
Mhm.
So how it is possible? So it is possible you can get those information if you have the proper details for the system API calls. Therefore, we call third-party APIs. Because in this small screen itself, you will see multiple things on particular weather conditions. Then here some kind of business news. Then here is sports news, right? So how they can get in single screen? They are calling multiple APIs to get those results. Okay. So this is called third-party API. And how we can call it today, we will see how we can consume the APIs. Yesterday, we have seen how do we expose the API. Like you remember, we have created an order API. So that particular API can call different system as well. Okay, if we provide the information. We can also call some other APIs. Is it clear? Is it this concept is clearing to you or not? First thing I'm asking you. Is this clear to you guys? Third party API call. And why do we need it? Am I audible?
So we are taking that service from that third party API, I think.
Yeah, anything. Like let's say you have you have your own website just now, and now you wanted to show some kind of news feed on that particular website. Okay. So let's say you wanted to show something like share market result. What is the current latest news for each shares? How you can show that? You need to consume the API, right?
Yeah. Yep.
For share market, who is exposing those service. In same
Yeah.
way, if you have, if you are user of a particular bank, and if you're going to another bank, maybe on ATM,
Mhm.
how that particular ATM knows like you are authenticate user. Let's say you are the person who is using Bank of America ATM. Okay.
Mhm.
You have
Mhm.
debit card for Bank of America. And one day you go to ATM, that ATM is for Citibank. It's not for Bank of America. But you can still use your card in Citibank ATM, right?
Yes.
Then how Citibank knows like you are a valid user, you are authenticate person, how they do know about you? Because whenever you put your card,
Mhm.
so their machine it scan your card, and when you enter your password and everything details there in the machine, it reads those information. Then Citibank will call the third party API of Bank of America, which is web service call, providing the information whatever you have inserted in the machine and pass to those information to the Bank of America and call their service. And then Bank of America will receive this request from Citibank ATM, and then it will validate by their end only, checking your details because you are the customer of Bank of America. Then it will provide a response back to the Citibank account.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Okay. Yeah, makes sense now.
That's what. So let's say this is the API. We are calling this API. This is not our system API, right? It is deployed on here, Albireo tech system. But still we are calling from Postman. Okay. And this is what you are seeing here. This is the response back from this API with the 200 status code. Okay.
Mhm.
If you pass wrong information, let's say you're passing wrong information, immediately you will get the error. You see here. What is the error? 404 not found, right? Because this API is not available. But if you pass the right information, right API call, then you will get definitely the response back from that API, right? Here also we are getting it. And everybody, all things are secured these days. Even this API call itself is very secure. So we need to pass authorization code as well. So here you can see we are passing the authorization code also, correct? So we need to use, we are using the basic authorization and to call this API. So we have to use as a header this information. Okay. Now, how do we do that? Particularly things like to consume the API using your program, using your Java code, how we can do it. That is what we will learn today. Okay. So this is very important topic. And as a developer, you should know about it because these days we all are working in microservice environment. हाँ 1 minute. क्या बनाएंगे लेट आराम से मेरे को वो लेने दे दो. Yeah, sorry. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what we need to do before consuming any API, what are the things you have to take care of it? First, what can be the request object? Okay. To call any API, request object, then response object, then endpoint URL. This one endpoint URL. So let me tell you what are these things. Then header information. Okay. What are these things? Let me quickly explain you here. The system is very slow today. I don't know. As you can see, what is this? This is the endpoint URL, which we are going to call. This is called endpoint URL. Any doubt?
No.
Okay. What is header information? So header information will tell you about what are the properties we are here using. For us, it's very important. This one, authorization. Second is what kind of data it will expect from the API. So it would be your application JSON content type. Okay. This is another important header information. That these tools are fine for now. And for as a response object, so response always come here. You see here. So this is one object. This is another object, same kind of object, but in the form of array. You see here this array box. So this is the list of data. What kind of this data? This has this information. You see invite name, invite link, meeting ID, passcode, email, password. So we need to create one class which will hold all this property, and we need to create setter and getters as well. No matter what name you are giving that particular class, but you need to make sure this class will hold all these properties. Is it clear? Or any doubt so far?
Those are keys and values, right?
Yeah, this is JSON record, right? So each property we need to put in one class to hold this data, whatever we are receiving from this API. How we can do that? We need to create one class like this. You see here, Zoom meeting. I created one class. I'm keeping all those property here invite name. So you see here invite name, invite link. I'm keeping again invite link, meeting ID. Also we have passcode and so on, right? So this object will come as a list because this data is also coming as a list, right? Now, how do we create a client? Okay, so we will create here a client. We'll see, we call it Zoom invite client. Then we need to create first, whenever you want to consume API, there are few ways to consume the APIs. So this terminology, what is consume? Consume means the API which is built on different system and we are calling it and we are getting the result. That is what we call it consume.
Mhm.
So there are few ways to consume an API using these three APIs. One is REST template, another is web client, another is HTTP client. Today we will see it REST template. Okay. So to implement the REST template, there are few things is required in the project setup. First, you need to enable your configuration here in main class. So where is that? This one. First, you have to create a bin for REST template. Okay. Like this. It's very simple. Use the @bin annotation and just simply use the like blank empty constructor like this, but it will return a REST template object as a new object. That's it. You need to put this particular bin inside the starter one where our booting class has started. Okay. It's very easy. Just put @bin for this REST template. It means we have created the bin. Okay. Now we need to just auto wire this particular REST template object in our class using the auto wire. To inject the dependency, we all know we need to use auto wire. Then we will use private REST template. So it means we have auto wired it. It is clear, Josna and Indra?
Yeah.
Or do you
it's
have
clear.
any doubt?
No.
Okay. Now what we will do, we will create a method like this, public void. We are calling it, right? Call other API. So call Zoom invite service, invite service. So as you see here, Postman. As you can see in the Postman, we are not passing anything as a request parameter, right? It's just a get call. The method type you see here, it's just a get call, correct? And we are not passing any parameter here. It's blank. It's nothing, correct? So we don't need to pass anything in this method. We are keeping it as a blank. But to prepare and consume the data in the service call, first you need to follow this step. Request object, we don't have anything for now. Response object we have already created. Where we have created response object? This one, Zoom meeting. This is your response object. This will be your response object. Okay. And now another thing is we need to define endpoints. But before that, we need to create header information. Okay. How do we create header information? So we will use this APIs, headers. Okay, HTTP header, sorry. Then probably we need to set those properties. Which property? Which I have mentioned here. Sorry, my system is today very slow.
Authorization, I think.
Sorry.
Nothing, go ahead.
Okay. So in the header information, we need to provide authorization and content type. Okay. So let's first provide the content type information. Headers dot set content type here. Like this, we can pass media type dot application JSON, right? That's what. But this is required when you are calling, you are posting some data, you are passing some data to other API like post call. But here we are going to receive the data. It means we don't need this. So by mean we are receiving the data. Okay. So to receive the data, there is another property set as accept. What is the property? Set accept. What we are accepting the data like this, and it will take the list of object, but we will only pass one object, and that is what that object? Application JSON, right? That object is media type. And then once you have set this property set accept, which will accept the data of application JSON. You see here, whatever the data we are receiving in the JSON, correct, as a response. Therefore, we are setting this header property. Okay, this data is the JSON data, nothing but. Therefore, we are passing as an application JSON as a setting the data inside it. Now we need to create HTTP entity. And it will take the header object. Afterwards, we need to create a response entity. And this will return. This will return. What would, can you tell me what would be the response entity? I explain you. This is this Zoom meeting is our response, correct? This Zoom meeting object, but as a list. So means I need to use array. Equal to. Now we need to call this REST template here. Dot. There is a method exchange. In exchange, you will see the parameters what we have here. You have a URL. You have HTTP method type. Then you have entity object. Then you have a class what kind of class it will return. Okay, let me use one by one. First, it is expecting the URL, endpoint URL. So what is our endpoint URL? Our endpoint URL is this is our endpoint URL, correct?
Mhm.
Then it is expecting the method type. So we need to tell HTTP method dot what kind of method it is, get, correct? In Postman, we are calling get method, right? Then entity, we already passed it. And finally, we just need to pass this data type here because the method signature says just pass this one.
Arun, do we have to give the full URL name like that, HTTPS, or just we have to give the resource name? Like slash API slash Zoom like that. Hello? I think.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, Arun.
Yes.
Sorry, I got disconnected. I was asking till now so far, do you have any question or shall I move forward?
Yeah, I was asking like, do we have to give the URL name thing or just we have to give the resource name in that exchange letter?
So ideally, we need to tell right, what kind of what would be the address to for this exchange call. We need to tell this URL, but this is just a raw way I'm telling you. But in like later we will see how we can configure it in property file and how we will get it through the property file using the @value annotation in Spring Boot.
Oh, okay. Oh, got it. Yeah. We have to use it in property files. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what like for now it's for time being like it's just like in basic concept we are clearing. So here just I am directly putting inside here in the method, but later we will see it like how we can do it in we can get it from the property files using the value, and then as per the environment we might change this URL as well.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But for now time being, this is like important parameter. While you are calling exchange service to get some record or some response back from the third party API, you need to pass this URL and the endpoint URL. The URL means it is an endpoint call. It is an endpoint URL. And then you have to define what kind of method type is there for this particular call. So as you can see, it's a get call. It's a get service. If it is a post, then we have to use post, but it's a get one. And the entity is nothing but it has the information about the header only. And header, we have only two properties. So sorry, I forgot to add one more property, which is very important, which is for authorization. Okay, I'll add it here only set. And we have this property, which is called auth. If you confuse what exact property name here, you can just copy it from Postman as well. So if you go here, header, you can copy from here. This is the property name. And you need to paste here. And we have this barrier token, basic token. I'll copy from here. So let me copy it from here only. This is our token. Okay, so I'm using it to call this API. And afterwards, I think we are good to go. We already made a call here using the exchange. Now this is the time to get your response back from the system. So first, let me print the status code like this, get status code. Another way, we need to get the body from this object. Okay. So I'll do it like this, and we can hold this record in particular variable. So I would say response equal to this, and you can create a local variable for that. You see here, it is returning the array of Zoom meeting. That is what we are receiving in the Postman. You see here, this is the array only, correct? Is array, this array of objects. And what object? It's a Zoom meeting object, which we already created. Now, we don't need to just directly return this object. What we can do, we can simply return list of object. Instead of array, we can use like this arrays dot as list, and I can pass this response object here. And now it will give me error because the method return type is void and we are returning the list. So what we can do, simply we can change our method return type. That's it, right? Now to particular call this particular method or class, what we can do, we can make it as a REST controller. And also we can map this one as a get mapping. We can define custom mapping name like call Zoom API, right? So you want me to debug this code or direct run this code in the Postman?
Show me in debug mode.
Sure. So let's debug this code now. I'll start server in debug mode. So to start anything in Spring Boot application in debug mode, the proper way is like just right click here in this particular class. Which class? Which is marked as a Spring Boot application. It should have main method. Just you need to click right click, and here you will see debug as option. Debug as option, and you can just click on Java application, and you need to click on it. But which code you want to debug, where you have to put this debug point. You see here, I have double click on it on this line. So this point is enabled, correct? So now we will call this endpoint. So our application is running on localhost 8080, and we will call this endpoint now. Okay. So I'll show you one thing. You can see here this particular response is coming from the Albireo text system, right? Albireo text system API. Now we will call this particular API from our localhost. Let me show you how. Localhost 8080, and I have put this Zoom call API. Okay, because it's a GET call, I can simply call it from browser. So let me enter. See, our debug point has enabled now, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let's go one by one. So this is our debug point came here after this call. So you will see what is the response we have received. This is our entity which we have created. Headers information, status. So status information you can see is the 200, right?
Mhm.
Now, what is the body we have received? So in the debug mode itself, you can just simply you can see here. This is the body we have received. If you open this body, this much object we have received from the API call. The first object on 0, if you open it, you will see the information about this guy named Sohail Ahmed. Then afterwards, you will see another name. This girl name is Rashmi, right? Then later you will see another name. You see here Siraj. So all like this, we have received 24 objects overall. You see here from 0 to 23, it means total become 24 objects, right? As a body.
Mhm.
And then you will see the status code here on console as well, 200. And final response, you can see it on browser as well. Like see here on browser, we receive this result now. Right or wrong?
Right.
So this was processed in different system. This different system was this system, Albireo text system. That is the another system. And what we have done, we have consumed their APIs in our system. So our system, their system, do you understand this terminology or not?
Can you explain that? Actually, yeah, that's always kind of confusing.
That's what I'm saying. So our system, their system, you can compare again. You can go back to that example which I gave you, Citibank, Bank of America. You remember?
Mhm.
Yes.
For now, this API just consider this is for Bank of America API. Okay. And the data which we are receiving here, you can consider it's a Citibank system. Why I am saying this? These are two different systems because you can see the host, the IP, both are different, which are running on different port. This is localhost 8080, our local system. And the port which we are calling the services, this is a complete different domain. Its domain is Albireo text system, correct? So the overall implementation, whatever they have written to get this result, whatever this data we are getting it, we are receiving this data from their database. It's not available on our database. This information is
Oh,
not available in our database. We are
that
just
makes sense.
using this to get this information.
No, it makes sense. Okay.
Okay. So you know now you know like how do we call the third-party APIs and what is the way to call their APIs. It's very simple. It's very just 3 to 4 lines of code and you can get it in your system. But it's really important to understand this particular piece of code and piece of concept as well. Because these days you will play with this kind of things only. You will expose the service, you will consume the service. That is how these days we are working on. Any doubt so far now? No doubt. Silence means no doubt.
So how can we
So-
know that the database is coming in that form? Like if you are using the JSON media type.
So before implementing anything, just now, what usually we do, we call it through the Postman, right? We usually check their APIs, whether it's working or not. Let me show you a quick example. Sample REST API. Get let's copy some fake data, real response. We can see these are the we can call this service now.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So see here, these are their API call, right? And if you see here, this is also coming in JSON one, correct? And response object you can see here. So whatever the response we have, what we need to do, first we have to create that class in our system based on the response. Single user, very easy. You see here, you need to create one class. In that class, there would be another object which name is data, and data will have this different objects: ID, email, first name, last name, avatar, and later you will have another object support. Do you want me to create quickly this object? How can we map this particular JSON to object?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'll
please.
show you. Let me show you. You can give any name, X, Y, Z, no matter, with outer class, okay? But what is the important thing while creating this kind of request object? Hold on. What is the property here? Data, correct? And data is denoting as a curly bracket. It means it is another class inside a class. You know, let me show you why. How? Let me create another class. We'll call it as a ABC. No matter what you are giving the name. But what is important, I'll explain you. So here you need to keep one property, which is name is ID inside this ABC class. First, private. Keep it as all string value because everything we will receive in as a string only. But this is showing as a number. I can keep it as an integer. Okay. Because string value usually comes in double quotes. Another property is email. Let me copy private string and this property name. The property name is very, very important. Another property name is first name. So what we have to do it private string, this property name, first name. Okay. And then we have property last name. What you can do, copy this, put this, just put like last name. Next property is avatar. This is fine because we are defining this data only. Okay. What you need to do it, you just need to create setter and getters. How you can do it? Just right click, go to source, use this option, generate getter and setters, click on select all, generate it. We are good to go now. Now this ABC class has all those property which we are seeing under the data. And now data is nothing but it's a property name. It's not a class name. Okay. Class name you can keep at anything, but this is we need to keep here. How we can keep it here? Like private. Now this class name, what is this? Which we have created ABC, right? ABC. This is our class name, but here you need to keep it as a data. Why? Because here we have a data property. Under data property, we have all this information. So if you open under this one, we will see all this property, right?
Yes.
Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Next object we will have
Yes.
under next object outer element we have support. So now we need to create one class. That name will be support. So let me create another class support. But we didn't create this class, so let me create it. So under support we need to keep two properties, URL and text, and both are string value. String URL. Another property name would be again a string and then text, right? And we need to create setter and getters. For that, right click, go to source, generate getter and setters, click on select all, keep it like this, save it. Support class is created, and now the outermost class is XYZ. Here we have support object, data object. Now you can verify this is the outermost class. There is no name. You can keep anything in the name, but the property name should be matched. Data, this is data, and under the data, these are the things we should have. So what is the class name? Anything you can keep it, but the property name should be matched under the data property. ID, email, first name, last name, and avatar. Clear? Second, object name is support. Whatever the class name you can give it. You can keep your name also, but this property name should match with this property. Clear? Class name, you can keep anything, but the object name should be match in the request object. Under the request object, if you open this class, then again your property name should be matched with under these properties. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Indra, clear or not?
Yes.
Please ask me the doubt if you have.
Yeah.
I can
If I
explain it.
don't have it, I'm just on mute. You know.
Okay.
If I'm on a standing, then I'm usually on mute.
Okay. So now you know like how do we create the response? By seeing the response, how we can create the class, right? You clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You clear now how to create the response? You clear now how to consume the response? How to call the APIs? Very important this topic. Please keep in mind, very important. Why? Because you will see lots of code like this: HTTP entity, HTTP headers, response entity, REST templates, and these days we are using thoroughly. Thoroughly means very thoroughly. Okay.
Mhm.
So if it is clear, I'll give you one assignment to you guys. Let's get one open API, create a request response object for that. Try to call their service by using this code. I'll push these changes in GitHub. I didn't receive any from anyone like your Git account username, so I can provide you the access for that GitHub repository. But I'm just expecting now you can provide me your username and at least username, so I can provide you the access for that particular Git repository, and you can download this code from there.
Provide you what again?
So what we are gonna do it, Indra, like the code you are seeing on my machine, this is on my local machine.
Yes.
Same thing, this code I wanted to share with you guys, and how you can get it. You need to create your Git user on GitHub account. You need to share your username. I have created this, already created the repository on the GitHub. I'll share the access with you guys based on your username, and you can get it this code by using the GitHub commands, git pull, git checkout, and you can clone this project.
Okay.
I had that, but I forgot the username.
No worries, Josna. Probably you can create your new one account. It's very easy to create another sign up.
And also, can you forward those recording to me? Because I gotta look at that too. just to
Yes,
see
Indra,
what we
please
talked
go through
about
those
today.
recordings. And while seeing those recording, if you have any doubt so far, probably we can
Yeah.
connect on weekends and I can rectify your doubts as well. We can keep one Q&A
Okay.
sessions for everyone.
Okay.
You also, Jyotsna, and for Indra, you also.
Okay.
And we have other people who is also depending on the recording, like Krishna and other people. So probably I can get in touch with those people as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so I would recommend you highly, please, whatever the assignments I'm giving you guys, please work on it, because this session is just, I'm just explaining you anything, right? But if you do it by yourself, you will get lots of issues. And once you will get the lots of issues, you can probably come to me again and ask and clear to those doubts, right?
Yeah, sure.
So have you created the delete method? Just now yesterday I asked you to create. I think you didn't create so far. But I'm expecting you at least work on it on weekend. Okay.
Sure, Arun. Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. And please tell me how was this session. And if you need some kind of improvement, please give me your feedback. I'll improve
Yeah.
it.
Sure, Arun.
Yeah. The beginning was kind of confusing, but the second part was like, yeah. Then I got it when you explained the second part. I probably gotta watch the recording from yesterday too. So just to maybe
Yeah, I think
because I was in there
if you're
yesterday,
following
I
the
missed.
links, yes. If you miss a few sessions from Spring Boot initially, so probably if you are following the recordings, and then later you will get to know like what we are covering here and
Yes,
so on
yes.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you guys.
Thank you,
I
Arun.
think I'll
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Arup. Thank you, Memir.
Yeah, thank you, Saurabh. Bye.